June 14th of this year, I'll have worked for NASA for 45 years. And my background is I was a student at Rice University, graduate of electrical engineering. And after I graduated, I was given a job by NASA, and I was assigned the alarm system for the spacecraft that Buzz Aldrin flew to the moon. So when Buzz Aldrin and Neil Armstrong descended to Tranquility Base, my alarm system came on, rang some alarms, and fortunately none of those alarms were so serious, so they ignored my system and brought it down anyway. But on Apollo 13, again, I was at the Space Center, and the alarm came on, and the spaceship had exploded. It was 208,000 miles from Earth. I had my headset on. I heard Jim Lovell and Jack Swigert say, "Houston, we've had a problem." And in the next 4 days, I worked with the team to rescue Apollo 13. In fact, tomorrow I'm doing an interview at 7:40 a.m. That's the radio station at 8:30 about the 40th anniversary of Apollo 13's rescue. 40 years ago tomorrow was when Apollo 13 blew up. But today, what we're going to do for this activity, we're going to try to compare two Buzzes. A Buzz Lightyear, of course, the Disney animated character from Toy Story, and Buzz Aldrin, the second man to walk on the moon. And to do that, we have several props. These were all procured at great expense from the Toys R Us at either Baybrook or over here on Fairmont Parkway. And here's a great model of large enough so that I can demonstrate some things. They have all sizes of these Buzzes. Here's a smaller one, and they're very tiny ones. And here's a model of Buzz Aldrin, and you'll note quickly that there are likenesses and differences. Both are given some kind of a spacesuit. Both have helmets on, and I would like to explain something about spacesuit design. The purpose of an astronaut spacesuit is to protect him from the extreme heat and cold, the lack of oxygen in space. Now, if Buzz Aldrin would wear Buzz Lightyear spacesuit, and he would do this, flip up his visor in this fashion, that would be the end of astronaut Buzz Aldrin, because it's a vacuum. And in the vacuum of space, oxygen from your lungs would suddenly blow out onto the lunar environment. It would maybe pull with it the last meal that Buzz Aldrin had. It would contaminate the surroundings and so forth. Now, of course, Buzz Lightyear can do this at will since he has no lungs. He's not alive. He's an animated character, a figure. And Disney has seemed to make him talk, make him move as though he's a real human being, but believe me, he is not. Now, I have seen those that can buy a Buzz Lightyear costume, and perhaps next year, maybe Mrs. Woodfield, if you'll allow me, I'll come in costume. But this is a very dignified look I have tonight, and I have my tie and so forth on. Okay, so that's one big difference, is because the helmet of Buzz Lightyear can be flipped down. It really doesn't do any good if Buzz Aldrin would wear it. He would die wearing this helmet. Okay, another thing about Buzz Lightyear is he has what we call articulated joints. Now, that's a big word that we use because I work in Automation Robotics Division at the Space Center. And we have what we call the Robonaut. Now, Robonaut is not an astronaut, but when we create things, we call them Robonaut. You ever see the movie RoboCop? Well, we adapt that kind of thing, so we have, perhaps this would be called a cartoon knot or an animated knot. But nevertheless, the idea is when you use the word knot, that deals with something sailing vernacular. We say cosmonaut. That would be a Russian astronaut or that would sail into the cosmonaut. And so here we have this comic knot, cartoon knot, and he is articulated. Now, articulated means that you can move your joint. That is, it can be moved in several directions. And in robotic design, and you have what we call pitch. If you would take your arm and move it up in this direction, like that's a pitch maneuver, pitch. Then we have a yaw maneuver, and that is moving your arm right to left. Then what we have in robotics as well as aviation, we have a roll maneuver. And the reason I can do that with my arm is because my shoulder joint is able to move in a roll maneuver, in a yaw maneuver, or a pitch maneuver. So it has what we would call 3 degrees of freedom. 1 being roll, 2 being pitch, 3 being raw. So it has what we call 3 DAW, 3 degrees of freedom. NASA's great on acronyms. NASA, National Aeronautics and Space Administration. Now, Buzz Lightyear, let's look at his particular shoulder joint. He can do a, well, I didn't mean to do that, Buzz, but he can do a roll maneuver after a fashion. Let's check this arm. See this? See that? He can do a roll maneuver. In addition to that, let's see if he can do, no, he cannot do a yaw maneuver. Can he do what we'll call a pitch maneuver? Let's see if we can get him to do a pitch maneuver. He's pretty much impaired. So his shoulder joint has but 1 degree of freedom. Now, Buzz Aldrin, of course, he's like I am. And I have shown you that I can do 3 degrees of freedom. So that would be a difference, the way that the joints of these two beings, these two astronaut type of items can operate. Now, in some ways, this is good. For example, Buzz Lightyear is a pugilist, or I guess he would be something of a person that could defend himself. Now, Buzz Aldrin didn't expect any enemies on the moon, even though at that era that we had the Soviets and the Americans were not too friendly because of the Cold War. But apparently Buzz Lightyear has need of what we call a laser. And now the laser is good if you want to defend yourself. And here's an example here. You'll watch him. You see that as I twist, he's able to activate his laser through this button on his upper forearm, and he can fire the laser. Now the problem with that is that if Buzz Lightyear would reach back, for example, maybe his rear end itches or something like that, you know, and he reaches back there. Fortunately, he's not articulated so well that he can actually scratch his behind. And that being the case, he won't inadvertently get back there and turn on his laser and shoot at himself where he wouldn't want to be shot. Okay, so that's probably a safety design in Buzz Lightyear's design. And then again, there's something else I'd like to show you about the fact that these joints are different between Aldrin and Lightyear. Watch this. See this? You see what's happening here? I'm twisting all the way around. Now, if you can do that with your body, we're going to put you on one of those science fiction thrillers or one of those vampire horror movies, because you can flip it all the way around like this. That's one big difference. No one that I know on the planet, this would be Guinness Book of Records, if you could rotate 360 degrees at your waist with your feet firmly implanted. Obviously, Buzz Aldrin cannot do that. How many have seen the movie Toy Story? Toy Story 1 and Toy Story 2. Anybody seen Toy Story 2? Okay. Toy Story 3 is on its way in 3D. They add a couple bucks to the price at the window over here on the, what is it, Hollywood 20?
Yeah.
And of course I'm a senior citizen now, so I get this cheap price anyway. They don't do that for the 3D type. They don't shed anything off of our fare there. Well, now, with regard to the movies, if you saw Toy Story 1, you know there are 2 characters. The adversary, big word, the adversary of Buzz Lightyear is Woody. That's a good name. I'm Woodfill, and I used to be called that often. Woody. Now, Woody is a sort of a Western-themed comic book character, and the idea is that this Andy, little Andy's toy chest has all these characters. Bo Peep, little Bo Peep. It turns out, little Bo Peep has the hops for Woody. You know, she really thinks she's cool. And so what happens is, Buzz Lightyear comes on the scene, and he's purchased by his, I don't know, birthday party or something, and Woody is totally jealous that Buzz Lightyear will become the leader of the entire Toy Story Toys of Andy. And so the thing goes like this. Woody does a very evil thing. Woody decides to try to knock Buzz Lightyear out of the window, and the rest of the characters of Toy Story are very angry about what Woody has done. Now here's a thing I want to show you about Buzz Lightyear.
I am Buzz Lightyear.
Be quiet, please. This is something I want to show you about Buzz. He has what we call a backpack. Here are the two backpacks. This one is for Buzz Aldrin. This one is for Buzz Lightyear. And of course, Buzz Aldrin's backpack has to have oxygen in it. Now Buzz Lightyear's backpack, I see no oxygen tanks. He doesn't need that. He doesn't breathe. As I told you, he's lungless. And so he has something else on his backpack. If I can figure out how to activate it without destroying him, we'll see. There's a little button on the front here. Let's see if it works without... Ah! There they are in all their magnificent glory. Buzz Lightyear has wings, which he has just what we call in robotics deployed. Now let me explain. When Buzz Lightyear was pushed out the window by Woody, he did not sail off. The reason being is these wings are pretty low lift types. They would never support a gliding thing of this weight and so forth. Now Buzz Aldrin, he has no wings at all. And anyway, on the moon, these wings would do no good at all. You have to have air. You have to have a flow of air to give lift to wings. So you will need some kind of a rocket pack. That is, Buzz Lightyear will have to be a rocketeer. And the problem with this is there are no rockets, it seems. Now Buzz Aldrin, he has no rockets because he's just walking about the lunar firmament. He's not going to rocket up into orbit again. So there's the difference. Buzz Lightyear has wings, Buzz Aldrin has none.